Back again. It's only been about, 16 hours? Artist Journal, December 22nd, 2022. My name is Adrian Pocobelli. Thank you, everybody, for yesterday, for coming to the Twitter Spaces. The attendance was pretty remarkable. 180 people showed up to that. And, for an experimental spaces, I mean, really, I was basically reading up I was preparing as much as I could, but nothing really prepares you for being live. So anyways, thank you everybody who got on stage and everybody who just showed up, which was totally awesome. It's actually pretty exciting. I mean, in some respects, if I was a viewer of this program, I might be slightly disappointed that it's okay, Wednesday, I don't get the visuals in a sense, but I think overall, all the artists who watch this program, and frankly, anybody else, it's totally awesome what can happen here. And again, that was kind of like an open lines type, where people call in. I grew up on a lot of talk radio, as maybe you've probably figured out by now. And my friend the media is actually what I call it. My friend the media. When I was in Montreal and after I had broken up with my girlfriend and I was just kind of on my own there, my friend the media. And so I have a deep, sentimental attachment to this sort of stuff. Anyways, we have a ton to get through today, but let me just finish on the show. So it's going to continue the weekly, partly, and don't tweet this part out, just because let's wait till it's actually done. But Rug Radio is going to go under the Rug Radio guys on Spotify. And so it's going to be a whole new audience, really, for this scene here, as far as whatever audience I'm building here. But it's going to be, so there's a huge opportunity for you as an artist, should this grow, and nobody knows the future, and who knows what happens. But should it grow, it's like a whole other venue, and potentially a greater audience in the sense that Rug Radio has a lot of the Ethereum community. And so as an artist, it's totally worth it for you to start, in a sense, and it helps me too, to get on stage really and to talk, because people will check you out. We got a few subscribers yesterday. It's actually great for this show as well. So again, multimedia here, even in terms of this show, we're going multimedia, and how cool is that, having a weekly kind of thing on Spotify under the Rug Radio kind of banner, or at least syndicated on Rug Radio. So, and that could present all sorts of interesting opportunities here. I don't believe they have a Tezos show. That's what they were telling me. I was talking to the executive producer yesterday. I think he was executive producer. So anyways, don't tweet that out, though, any of the Rug Radio stuff. Just kind of a heads up, though, that things could get pretty exciting on that front. And it's really just the final couple of comments on that is I'm going to structure it a bit more. Again, that was kind of an open lines. Let's see what happened, and let's see what happens. And so I'm going to try and make it more thematic, where you can almost think of the theme beforehand. That'll go in the little title of the Twitter Spaces thing when I post that, maybe on a Monday or Tuesday for the Wednesday show, Twitter Spaces. And also the mystery co-host, actually got a hold of me afterwards and was like, yeah, sorry, I've been off Twitter, but I'm down for next week. So let's see what happens. Hopefully mystery co-host is in on that. So anyways, thank you again for everybody that showed up to that. It was a ton of fun. And for an experimental thing, I felt like it went quite well. And again, yeah, that was great. So here we are. There is an absolute ton to get through today. This is Sabato's work here from his drawing exercises, and shout out to Sabato for showing up on the Twitter Spaces there too. I mean, it's pretty cool, guys. It's an opportunity to have conversations. We learn about the people, all the things he's doing. He's been in the space forever. So, a true salon, and I'm not really into this idea of, finally, I'm not really into this idea of like, oh, let's book a guest and then we listen to a guest for an hour or whatever. It doesn't, like, I don't think we need to do that. To me, the audience is the guest, and it's just open. Whoever shows up, frankly, should have priority on the mic, is kind of and whoever shows initiative to want to, like, I'm trying to be as inclusive as possible. And we got incredible insights there. Remember Shasha, who is a collector? And I'm not going to be like, oh, booking that. I would have never have thought of that. And there he came on stage, and he was dropping some serious insight of someone who's collected physical art and, and just, singing the praises of, art on the blockchain, and someone who's been in NFTs since 2017 and only has been collecting art for the last year. And he's very excited about it. So anyways, here's Sabato's work, part of the Tez Trash event. Beautiful work. The colors are very nice. Again, part of the drawing exercises where he uses the Deluxe Amiga, what does he call it? It's emulator created in Deluxe Paint 4 on an Amiga A1200 computer. You can still get it. 2.2 Tezos, which these days is a song part of the Sabato's holiday drops. So before we look at some more works, just a couple of tweets that I saw that were kind of just interesting. 2022, this is from PNX, was like a decade for me, ups and downs. I started and finished my year with COVID and had one serious surgery. Love is really important. I've met great people and made new friends. And it's the time of year where tweets like this, I'm happy to highlight that. And that's kind of how I felt yesterday. And just overall, this space, particularly the NFT art space, which Shasha really kind of segmented it off as kind of being its own thing, which he's probably right. Like, he seemed like a pretty big crypto expert, someone who dealt a lot with that. And yeah, so we've made a lot of new friends this year. So shout out to everyone on that front. And just a kind of a reminder to be appreciative. And I guess if I have a Christmas message, it's to show leadership in your family and, and just in a positive, just with the positive vibe and just, be the better person if ever that becomes an issue for you. A lot of people that I talk to, family, it's a tricky thing for a lot of people at Christmas. And that's my Christmas message, is show some, in a sense, moral leadership and be and be forgiving and all that sort of thing. I'm not Christian, but it's a nice message. Interesting work from mech.txt. So we're going to look at this a little closer, but what I'm finding very fascinating is this box here. This box he's starting to put into his compositions. And shout out to mech.txt for also appearing on the program yesterday from Indonesia. And that's something I never mentioned. I put it out in a tweet. From all around the world, Uzbekistan to Uruguay to, I'm in Europe here, to Massachusetts, as I said in my tweet there, to Singapore, where Shasha was. So pretty fascinating. Anyways, so out of Indonesia, mech.txt, so great to hear from people. I'm loving the box here. Very interesting to see how this develops. And this is actually what I wanted to highlight here. Recent explorations, I'm beginning to feel more confident in calling myself an artist, albeit a part-timer, but still inherently one. Well, I wouldn't let that stop you. I think like 99% of the space is not, relying on art to pay their bills. And it's probably a little bit less stressful of a life. So really, it's about productivity. And like, I feel like I'm an artist when I'm making art. That's when I feel like I'm an artist. If I'm working 8 hours a day or 6 hours a day and constantly producing, that's when I feel like an artist. Okay, so to me, you're an artist when you're being an artist. Okay, and you are very productive here, mech.txt. So I wouldn't hesitate. A lot of people hesitate calling themselves an artist. I never have. I've kind of always been like, I've always kind of known, at least in my own mind, people can make their own judgments. Quick, just FYI, on a artist call, AI Art Open Call, Post Photography Glimpses, and this is from Ivona Tao, looking for AI artists. I've just been invited to join Nifty Gateway as a publisher, and I'd like to showcase selected, established, and emerging artists working with all kinds of tools. So anyways, deadline 26th of December. Shout, FYI. Charles AI, this is super interesting. Printed one of my AI pieces for the first time. Just love the result. I'd love to see it. Hand signed print for the collector of my Ninfa Genesis piece in January. Like, this is really cool. I would love to see that too. Like, again, it's like traveling through the mediums, crossing over. Then it's, if artists were threatened before, like those, let's say, that aren't on ArtStation kind of, I think, has an argument to make for itself, somewhat. I still think people should be able to sample and whatever. It's a complicated issue. But as far as the traditional art scene and who hasn't got into AI, that might be those who are still skeptical and maybe the haters out there. You're really infringing on their territory once you start making prints of your AI work that's going to hang beside them in the gallery and perhaps might even be selling better. Then you're really going to be stepping on some toes. Really interesting. You know what else kind of crossed my mind when I saw it? It made me want to make AI work. I'm like, yeah, because I want to print it out. Like, that would be super cool. So I'm still fascinated by this raw AI thing. You can't do everything here, but it's definitely got my attention. And it continues to be some of the source of some of our most interesting images that I think we see on a daily basis here. Some of the most novel images. So here's an artist that I feel like I should have known, and maybe I've seen their work before, but I just don't know. Rip Cash. So GVG.eth posted this, Cerberus, one of one by the insanely talented Rip Cash. And so this guy, Rip Cash, works a lot with surveillance cameras. And I did a little bit of looking here. I was pretty amazed. So this work here, it already has an offer of 13 ETH. So all to say, like, this person has kind of taken off, okay? And you look at their floor, so on OpenSea, their floor price is 112 ETH. So you can see here, kind of like, it's almost like 1-bit Necro. I was going to say meets Uxine, not quite, but 1-bit Necro meets the surveillance camera, right? So pretty amazing. And I think this is what happened. So I went to Rip Cash's feed, and I think it's the X copy back to social proof and the power of, getting that seal of approval from someone who is basically looked up to, or getting several people saying this is good. Again, social proof, one of the most powerful forms of, frankly, for lack of a better term, marketing that exists. Again, we all have that experience on Amazon where you look at the product, you're not sure, you read insanely good 5-star reviews, and you have to have it. That is social proof. Huge shout out to Legend X Copy Art. Congrats on your winning bid and on acquiring my latest one-of-one platform. So maybe that's what happened to Rip Cash. I don't know his or her story, but maybe he got the blessing from X Copy, and like Uxine has done spectacularly, and we're going to see that. So Uxine has a new work on Super Rare. It has already been bid on. I think he put a 1 ETH reserve, which was taken up right away, and now it's at 1.5 ETH, which is $1,800. And so here's the work, and it's pretty interesting what's going on. A great contrast between kind of like this, again, traditional painting treatment. Very nice work here, very nice brush work all along. So kind of a traditional painting treatment with a super hard contrast with these hourglass kind of digital animated hourglasses that are flashing, as well as the skull in the old retro Mac top. And also, this kind of nice detritus here, again, a nice irrational element. And when you look up close to the background, you can see it's like a painted background. It's not a flat background. So anyways, it's looking great, as usual, from Uxine. Very nice, just everything. So Two Fiends, a cool title too. I thought I'll just show you, in case you haven't been to Uxine's page recently. There's a lot going down. Like, this is just the last 24 hours, and selling, editions of 33 here for 45. And when you take some of his more, this is an edition of 50, sold for 50 Tezos. And when you go to some of his more, the ones with the monks in them, Edition of 11 sold on secondary for 189. This is just in the last day, 115. Look at this beautiful one that we're looking at, 155. And now, like if you go to his page, like if you just want to buy it straight off secondary without putting offers in, look at that, 666, 222, 250 with an offer of 100. So it's a wonderful thing to see. This frankly looks cheap. This is one of my favorite Uxines, 150. 5,000 for this one. Wow. So anyways, I mean, again, the offers are the better measure, but the prices do say something here at 1,420. This one was spectacular. I kind of wish I had about 2 seconds to pick up a one of one with the dog, this one here. And I hesitated for about a minute and then it was gone. So yeah, one of one Uxine now is worth at least a minimum of 1,000 Tezos, I would think, maybe more. But anyways, it's great to see. Here's another artist that kind of reminded me of Uxine a little bit. Bong Do, I saw it on Twitter. So this is kind of interesting. Almost some similar stuff going on, kind of dark, flashing kind of images. This one's moving a bit more. So this is 50 Tezos on object. Bong Do, and it's interesting. So I looked at the other work and I thought, okay, this is kind of, it doesn't look exactly like this kind of dark. Put it this way, this other work doesn't remind me of Uxine, whereas this one does in its darkness and everything. This is more animated, but when you go over to the foundation, you start seeing, this style again, and you could see this doing well. Looks like it was sent over to Eldover, so maybe a private sale. But you start to see, so anyways, interesting. You could hang them in the same show, couldn't you? And let's just see if and you got a Pepe there giving you a wink. And here's another one. And our mic is still working. And so anyway, some computer code. You see kind of a similar kind of ingredients here. Not super similar, but you get a same. Last sold for 0.275 ETH. So interesting. Bong Do, minted on December 20th, just a couple of days ago. And here's another one on Nifty Gateway. And this opens, it's $50 each. And this opens in a few hours here. So anyways, just interesting to see what's going on out there. Interesting similarities. I thought this kind of went with our skulls that we were seeing here. So we've seen this artist before and often uses, let me just load up their page. The mic is playing nicely. So often has these kind of skeletons dancing. Now this seems to be a play off of Matisse's Dance, of course, but this time with skeletons and kind of on fire. Beautiful colors. Even this orange skeleton, they're beautifully done. It seems like this person knows their anatomy somewhat because they seem quite comfortable here. It doesn't look like they're just putting, I guess it's not too complicated, the skeleton, but it's complicated enough. Anyways, it looks great. Only 2 Tezos. A tribute to Henri Matisse's La Danse from 1909. And so with a reinterpretation. And so, of course, we've seen who's the artist? Jan-Lucas Migone's work before. So a little update here. Ellie Lowe with a new work, The Fool, so with the character in. And let's just take a quick look here. So kind of a trash artist. You see trash bag here? So we're going to go into Tez trash. So anyways, just interesting. 50 cents from Ellie Lowe. Trash star, trash bag. So anyways, who knows? So Robness V2, often credited, I think he is the guy who invented the trash art thing. I think it says that on his page, actually. Trash art movement creator, okay? If you didn't know. So he has some works here that he put out as part of this Tez Trash event. So he's taken a JPEG icon and basically creating these psychedelic, kaleidoscopic colors with JPEG icons that he's kind of distorting here. Interesting kind of brushwork over here. So he has 4 of these for 0.01 Tez, so basically free. So if you want some Robness V2, it is not cheap to get. I picked these up. I mean, how can you not? I mean, that's basically 2 cents these days, not even, each. So anyway, part of the Tez Trash art event, there we go. We're getting a straight up. So anyways, interesting work. Always interesting from Robness over there, and who always has a very active and engaged Twitter feed. So anyways, a little glitchy on my side here, but you can get the picture here. So 4 of those. I thought this one, Shirley Preston, I mean, it seems to be kind of a play on Liechtenstein, but it kind of has its own vibe. Like it doesn't feel like too much of one. I assume it was like an AI work of some kind. I think it really turned out well. Again, so a big dumpster fire. This one really just, it's kind of like on that reptilian level. It captured me right away. 50 cents edition of 100. Let's see how well it's selling. So 39 are gone. I even like how the Band-Aid dots here get kind of screwed up. I assume that's the AI. A really nice work. And he did another one. Raw AI made for Tez Trash. So almost a similar like dumpster here, right? But totally different style, working with AI again, a pretty nice work. Made for Tez Trash 2022, edition of 1, sold for 5 to Daniel Jerome. So interesting. Here's another one by Punks Distorted, and you can buy these for 1, an edition of 1,000. Let me see if I can get to. So kind of a Petsky filter situation here over a trash recycling or trash can or trash bin. So interesting. Punks Distorted. Here was a nice one, I thought. I clicked on the Tez Trash hashtag. So hashtags are useful on Object, by the way. And I was just going through everything. There's an interesting one. So you can just go through the whole Tez Trash, situation. And you can just see what people are posting. There's a ton of AI, which is interesting, probably because AI is so quick to make. This is AI, and I thought this was just a beautiful painting. Let me just expand this. So anyways, I thought quite beautiful here. And what is this? I think this is a 1 of 1 for 144. I might have to pick that up. Let me just bookmark that. Bookmark tool is very useful. So a nice, very nice AI piece there. Daniel W. chimes in with a trash can in a gallery. And again, with his kind of, what I'm increasingly finding to just wanting to call like radical compositions. This might not seem that radical, but again, just these decisions like cutting off the paintings like this. I think put it this way, this isn't like careless. This is very thoughtful how this is being done and careful. And even again, just putting like the plug-in here, the trash bin, and again, the CMYK, I think, although this is green, so maybe not pure CMYK. I guess it is CMYK layered here on the green. This maybe looks like a Frida Kahlo and Edward Monk's The Scream. So anyways, very interesting trash work from Daniel W. And he has got another work that I wanted us to look at, Judith and Her Maidservant. So, of course, this is based on I think it's Renaissance. We'll look in a second here. This is based on a previous painting, and it's by a woman artist from the Renaissance. And sorry for all the minimize. I have to do the magnify tool to make things full screen here. So this is from Judith and Her Maidservant by Italian painter Artemisia Gentileschi. And this is in the Palazzo Pitti in Florence. Okay, so I brought it up here just so we could compare. So here it is. I believe it's this one. So you see the sword here, and you see the sword here. So it's likely this one. But you see how the heads are apart? And here, they're actually quite close together. But we go to this one, and the heads are apart a little bit. But this is a different artist. So anyways, I'm sure it's this one. By Gentileschi, Florence. So anyways, here you go. There you go. So what I like about this is it's a liberal interpretation. It's not like he's just tracing this here, which is something I might do. But it shows like there's creativity, and it truly is an interpretation where he's even, switching the composition a little bit. So very cool. Also kind of in a, again, this stuff could hang in a similar room. This is by, I think, EdgeQ is the name. I picked this up in an auction for just 10 Tezos, which is like $7 these days. Keith Haring, the game by Keith Haring. So again, I'm a big fan of this, using these collector card cases, trading card cases, and how he's totally reappropriating, putting Keith Haring in the game here. And then I believe he creates the Keith Haring work with AI, probably doing basketball work by Keith Haring or something like that is the prompt. And so as you see here, AI imaginary game, the game by Keith Haring, really nice work. So again, a 1 of 1, which I guess I beat out Billy Joe. I guess I put 11 Tezos on that. And here's a guy, Blotter NFT, whose work we looked at before. And like, this is an awesome work here. He's been putting out some 1 of 1s for 7 Tezos is the starting bid, and nobody has bid. I meant to, but I was in the Twitter spaces yesterday. So anyways, if you want some very cheap 1 of 1s that are pretty cool, and it looks like he's doing a tribute, I assume, to Albert Hoffman on the bicycle ride. And I guess maybe it's Albert Hoffman's birthday. I'm just thinking out loud here and speculating, but maybe that's what's going on here. So anyways, Blotter NFT, if you're looking for, and you see there's Albert Hoffman. So 1943. So anyways, he has his theme Blotter NFT, and it's pretty cool. I have the Elon Musk work, which I think is awesome. You can get that for $6.75, and it's only an edition of 5. So anyways, that's a beautiful work, and that's $5, an edition of 5. Wow. So anyways, here are the new ones. Burke Biker Days. So who knows what the reference is there. Another 1 of 1 I got for an outrageous sum of 2 Tezos yesterday from Rustic Digital Art. And it just shows how, I don't know if fickle's the right word, but how, the scene, like he sold out the first 2 works, then he puts out a 1 of 1, and then nobody bids, or like one person bid 1 Tezos, and then I kind of snuck in there with a somewhat guilty conscience and bid like 2 Tezos at, with 10 minutes left. I was thrilled to get this, for, again, $1.60. I got this really cool, as part of this awesome Cloud Period series. So now I thought I had another one here. Here we go. Let's put this back in order. And Revolution. So he's got a new one, edition of 10 now, and a whole bunch of Super Marios. Interesting color change here, isn't it? So going with a pink background, and how he's making the Mario out of like a bigger Mario out of smaller Marios. So I love just this whimsical experimentation here by Rustic Digital Art. It really brings something, I think, to what we're looking at here as a whole. Like, it's really valuable, in my opinion, what he's doing there. So it's just interesting. So might have to pick that up, just to help complete the series here. So anyways, very, very cool. And again, using Super Mario iconography, but turning it into a landscape and all, and just playing with abstraction and representation at the same time. Again, just experimentation. So Pack of Cigarettes by Dan Control sold. I believe it went for 0.1. 20 pack of cigarettes. So anyways, just very nice work. This was on Foundation, I believe. So yeah, so anyways, nice work by Dan Control. I missed this by like 2 seconds. I think Bubba Boo got in there at the last second. Anyways, a really cool work. A homage by Bazaya to Messi here. So the World Cup homages continue with the poetic, almost like the laurels, I think you'd call them. Or I guess the Olympics, they wear that too. The golden, I think you call them laurels. And Messi there with the World Cup. Very nice painting digital painting by Bazaya, as per usual. And we got a couple of more. Minta also did her homage, supporting Messi, 3 stars. And so I guess there's 3 Tezos stars in the background there. And there is Minta So a cool, again, kind of probably based on a screenshot, I'm assuming, and there's a signature and everything. So another homage. It's cool, again, showing how international this audience is. You got to love how the soccer, because I think if when the Super Bowl happens, I'm not sure we're going to see the same kind of tributes. And we have one more from Moda MT, Land of Champions. And this was interesting for him in the sense that he started putting a texture in the background. Interesting composition, like the World Cup trophy. And I think that's him. And then with the goalie and, fist bumping with Messi here, and what looks like a lighthouse or something with Argentinian flags. And it's almost like this is like the Argentinian flag as the sky, right? With the sun in the middle there. Maybe that's what's going on. So anyway, it's just interesting. And the notorious goalie, continuing on. Is that still available? Maybe that was burned. Okay, so it's burned 3 minutes later. Maybe he put out a new version. Playing with fire here with all these windows I'm loading. Okay, so now it's $29.69, so it looks like it sold out and did quite well. Continuing on, so we looked at Leinetroft yesterday, the series by Tukes. We looked at 2 days ago, I should say. So here's the entire series. And it all sold out, by the way. And what I was commenting last time is I think we're seeing like a new boldness and experimentation. And remember, Tukes uses AI and painting in combination. So one assumes that's what's going on here because there are quite a few works. And you see they're quite, I would say, successful. Like they're all convincing in their own way. And as a series, they're convincing. And you can see it looks like the mint price was 0.08. There were 50 of these. So that's a pretty nice haul. Like this person, Tukes, just made like 4 ETH by putting out this series. And it probably maybe it took a couple of weeks for him to make, if not less. I'm just guessing here. And look, there is a market. And now the floor is 0.4 ETH. And there's probably a nice little royalty on that. So very cool. Okay. So there is a piece. I think we might have looked at this one already, but you see, like it's a very nice, interesting, the edge here. Like it almost, you could print these out, going back to Charles AI. Like it almost looks like a physical piece here, like you see a shadow. But if, let's say you cropped it at the frame here, you could print these out and it would be pretty respectable and it would probably look pretty good. So just interesting. And Tukes also put out this series on object. And you see, like, again, another kind of consistent series here. So all to say, we're seeing a lot of AI kind of innovation. Like, I'm not sure how much longer the rest of us should stay on the sidelines with our dabbling in it. Because, like, it's going well for those people that are really dedicating themselves to it. Pretty interesting. And here is a larger version of one of the works from Object. So, and there's a huge market for it. And it's pretty, again, interesting and beautiful what's going on here. So, yeah, Yitzchak Luria, the union of the individual soul with the divine, and to bring about the redemption of the world through this union. So interesting. I guess there's a lot going on here. Kind of reminds me of those, when you're in an archaeological museum and you see all the jewelry from past cultures and societies. Continuing on, here's just an interesting work by an artist I'd never seen before, Chago. I don't think we've seen them before. So again, kind of like somewhat Liechtenstein-esque, but totally different, and just interesting still life abstraction. Sold for 0.15 ETH, so other people like it too. This is part of a series called Interceptions. There's 2 of them. And you see also, this sold for 1/4 ETH. This nice still life here with the flowers in it. So interesting, just kind of combination of still life and abstraction. Kind of almost Mondrian type colors here, aren't they? And Liechtenstein, almost like comic book colors. Interesting. Hasdrubal Waffle. Some more crazy experimentation. Okay. As we've come to expect from Hasdrubal, kind of I want to call like somewhat culty figure here on Object. So just kind of wild experimentation. Small editions, they sell out immediately whenever they're sold. I guess there was an auction for 3 minutes and then sale, canceled auction, I guess an hour later. Yeah, not sure what happened here. But anyway, Hasdrubal Waffle. And here's another kind of wild work, Knock Down Punks, Down the Clown. So very bold, in my opinion, in what's going on here. Like, yeah, I would never think of putting all this stuff together and minting it, but Hasdrubal has kind of created there's a consistency to it that makes it, believable. And I'm a huge collector now. As soon as I see, I'm still, I can't wait to, I picked this one up as well, the Bottoms Bazaar. I guess, again, nice small edition. I thought the Bottoms Bazaar would go beautifully with this one. So again, you can get this other sweater for $15, and just a very, very interesting artist. I think Santiago was saying in a comment once that it was his favorite artist, if I got that right. New work by Haiti Roquette, Coffee, one of our favorite topics. This must be your lucky day. So I think it's called Lucky Day. And this was interesting. The mint price was only a Tezos, which was interesting. And now, there's basically none available on secondary. So you have to put an offer in, edition of 33. Always cool. Another Glitch ROM, this time from Glitchtown Arcade. Buy for 2, edition of 100. This seems to be part of the Trash series, doesn't it? So interesting. So again, playing with abstraction and pushing the limits here, and we see this really cool kind of pixelated background here. And anyways, always interesting from Glitchtown Arcade. Dumpster diving, part of Tez Trash event. Look what I found. Cool. Sean Luke, Hard Pass. And again, kind of an OG on the Tezos blockchain. And so here you go, I think. And here you go, and just interesting, using his themes of skulls with kind of pixelation and animation. Hard Pass. And a work by Popple. Let's just, I think, is this Star Chaser? Is this what it's called? The Fall of a Star Chaser. And this is interesting. We'll look at the write-up here in a second. So here's the work, made in Asebrite. And again, the colors are super interesting. You see how you almost see like a gray kind of come in here, over here. And it looks kind of like, again, sci-fi. There's stars. So when you look up close, it's not like pure, it was made in Asebrite. I want to look at what it says here as far as the process, because it's super interesting. Process-wise, this work was hand-drawn in pixel art illustration tool Asebrite, plus post-processing. It's quite large in size when compared to average pixel artwork seen online, and it was done by brushing rather than line drawing. So I'll have to open up Asebrite again because I didn't realize there's brushing. What I tried to do here was to break common cliche of pixel art. I want to show that pixel art does not have to be on a small canvas size of 200 by 200 pixels, and it surely does not have to be that cute and blocky look in side view or top-down perspective, which often makes it associated with retro video games. I love games, though. So he's just trying to break, pixel art, patterns that people are using. So anyways, very, very interesting experimentation. He sent one of these to me. I think it was a gift for a lot of people. So anyways, yeah, so not small, right? And the original was 2100 by 2960. So not easy to work in Asebrite in that size, I don't think. It starts taking up a lot of RAM. Let me just get this right here. Byte by bit. So kind of playing with the nebulas, but then with some of his abstraction here. So it looks like it's kind of mixing together. Let's just look. Because you see, here you see, again, you have it here too. So Space Runner Nebula's exploration. So to me, this looks like a abstract thing, like some sort of thing in space, and then combined with the nebulas. So interesting development here. So here's another one, right? And again, using retro tools, pixel work made with PC Paint 3.1. Byte by bit. Here's another work by Byte by bit. Pixel work made with PC Paint 3.1. Rebel Desert. This kind of looks like the front of a video game, or like the homepage, or what loads up. Rebel Desert 1 combat strategy. So playing with this almost what to me seems like a simulated video game, a fake video game, video games that don't exist. Copyright 2022, bit by bit. Yeah, so playing with the tropes that you might see in these old video games. Very nice, as well with the sky, just how it's treated here. So interesting. That's a 1 of 1, and that is 20 Tezos for a 1 of 1. Here's a collaboration by mech.txt and 1 of 1 Neo, Love from the Sky. Very interesting composition, I thought. So again, playing with pixel art, and one of the interesting things that came up yesterday, we were talking about discovering object, and this kind of one of the revelations that comes when you come to object is this idea of pixel art as high art, that comes in. I had already had that experience in a sense with Rada on Ethereum when I saw Rada's work. He was the first kind of pixel artist that I went, hold on, this is amazing. Like, this is museum art, right? But then when you get on object and just the big wide world internet with no gatekeepers on object and Tezos, then you just see so much pixel art. And yeah, so anyways, so here's a nice piece, Love from the Sky. So it looks like this couple are meeting each other, this woman on a parachute and this guy smoking his cigarette. And I wonder if that's her partner there, her previous partner, or maybe that is the love in the sky. So a little bit of ambiguity here. There's a rocket ship and some people surfing. Pretty fun, mech.txt. Now look at this. I didn't realize that mech.txt did work on Sol. And mech.txt does very good, works in progress. It's very good on the Twitter, right? Like just stuff like this. It just shows how important it is to show your work. Like I should do this 10 times more. I do it once in a while with almost a lot of reservations. But you see here, like this stuff looks great. I had no idea that he had work on Sol, and it looks great. My Sol Genesis series gallery started to fill. Couldn't wait on how it looks like when all of the 13 pieces are all out. So maybe still releasing stuff. And it's, again, the different blockchains almost bring about different kinds of series, and you see that here, right? Thanks for supporting me on the whole world building attempts, fellas. Drives me forward in my explorations. Fascinating. And here's a close-up of what we were discussing in the opening here. This square here is super interesting. And also just what I like about it, like you see like the yellow bleeds from the river into here and then becomes part of the negative space. So it kind of goes from representational to negative space here. And anyways, but this is like what I want to call an irrational element. Like why here rather than there? It's just because the poet decided, the artist decided, I'm going to put it here. I guess I like the look of it is probably what he's thinking to himself. So anyways, I just found this really interesting and beautiful, kind of pushing representation. It goes one step further where it starts to get into abstraction, okay? And here's a work that he released, which I think sold out immediately, before you could blink, probably. Like, look, listed at 2 o'clock yesterday, 2:02, and was sold out by 2:04. So I missed this one, a beautiful work. I love the colors. And so I wouldn't be hesitating calling yourself an artist here. 1800 by 2100 PNG. And yeah, with the frame here, 180 by 210 pixels. So just, so that's why, as I was saying in the Twitter Spaces yesterday, if I was to teach digital art, I would start with pixel art, even though that's not what I started with. But I think it's just a nice kind of simple foundation for teaching digital art, because you learn it's more complex than it sounds, and it's using kind of what we might think of as a basic on and off type tool. And so anyways, I'd start with pixel art and with, 8 Badu style pixel art, and then go, okay, now we'll try 24 by 24 pixels. Now we'll try 64 by 64, and then go like that. There's your first module of your, digital art course. Tom Barbattle, whom I'm really liking. It's always great how you can find new talent all the time. You just got to dig a little bit. And I was showing his work the other day, and so his kind of Sandman type character, the guy with the mask and the air oxygen, Now he's on a scooter. I love this one. So yeah, I picked that up. Let's see how quickly they're selling. Like, I think he's got a pretty devoted following here. Yeah, because like, I mean, he'll post this at 4:54 and it'll be sold out for only 2 Tezos by 5:07 though. So that's pretty cool. Tom Bombadil. Geek put out a really, I thought, kind of poetic work, Lonely. And, you know, I feel like I know what this is based on. Like, I feel like I know the reference, but not off the top of my head. I like the really jagged pixels here. So again, if I was to guess, like maybe that's 64 by 64 pixels. But you see how important the canvas size is when you're dealing with pixel art. So yeah, this is a 101, sold for 8 to Mikey Wilson. The famed Mikey Wilson on the Tezos blockchain. Ed Marola with Blob. So here's some more pixel art. So again, you're seeing the experimentation here. Again, pixel art is kind of like, quote unquote, and I use the term with a lot of reservations, high art. You know, like this is not just, this is not just some simple representational scene here. There's kind of a lot going on and some interesting brushwork, interesting colors. There is some representation, but there's some abstraction. Blob by Ed Marola. Here's another work by Ed Marola. Now, I don't know what this is, but I've been seeing it, and you've probably been seeing it. Koei Khan. And Aile has been doing some work. We're going to see her work right away here. Koei Khan, official Tego Dago wear. So there's a sweater. I don't know if it's a Christmas sweater thing or whatever. Anyways, great looking piece. Again, I'm assuming this is probably like 64. Not sure how many pixels this is, but you see, this is you see just nice pixel work. And here is more. Koei Khan. So some more hints here. A story based on Koei Khan. So, and you can see Koei Khan. So I'm probably even not pronouncing that right. Learn the origins of Koei Khan and how the red. So this may just be some tradition I have no idea about. Or maybe it's something they all created. Koei Khan's Sweater Party by Aile, continuing with the AI. And big shout out to Aile, who put out the notes again and was helping retweet the Twitter Spaces yesterday, which I'm sure was very helpful. The most generous person on Twitter, I'd call Aile, without any kind of reservation there. So anyways, some sweaters that she's working on. AI, I'm really excited just to see how this is going to go. More interesting compositions. And again, collaborating with, I believe that's Santiago, and Hasdrubal Waffle. So I'm not sure exactly what's going on, if she's feeding in their works or if they're passing them back and forth. Feel free to leave a comment if you guys want to clarify, because maybe a lot of people are like me and just kind of don't know what's going on there, but feel like you should know what's going on. I'm not sure if we looked at Evelyn O before, but an interesting AI work. So Clown Vamp started bidding on these two works here. Kind of has a bit of a Klimt feel to it, don't they? So those in particular, I think, attracted Clown Vamp, because you see they're here. These don't have the Klimt view look as much. So anyway, very interesting, pretty healthy bids here too at quarter of an ETH. So awesome work from Evelyn O2. And Evelyn O is also a digital artist on Super Rare. So kind of playing, with this abstraction and like figurative work is, I guess, mixing the two. And we see it here. Okay. Do we have a write-up? Could use something in the bio more than digital artists, just so we could learn a bit more. Shout out to Evelyn O in Stockholm, Sweden. Anyway, cool, good-looking, interesting work. Strange Thing, just always interesting to follow him. So thank you to everyone who purchased my first ever Super Chief collab event. 45 editions sold at $100 each. You collectors made my Christmas thank you. So this is the work. So very cool, classic, we might say Strange Thing at this point. And interesting experimentation from Strange Thing. AI experimenting with something a little different. Thoughts. Mid-Journey community, stable diffusion. And put some music. So anyway, playing with space. So that's another cool thing about Strange Thing. He doesn't rest on his laurels there. So this in a sense, only went for 5 ETH, the work by Charles AI. I thought this would go for more, just because there's kind of like 12 Charles AIs in here. Anyways, very cool work. Mysterio NFT, I think, got a pretty good deal when you compare it to the rest of Charles AI's collection. Anyways, nobody, I think, is complaining at raking in $6,000 US. Pretty nice. So congrats to Charles AI. A couple of works by Mr. Shapeless here. I don't think we've seen these. So just a couple of, I'm not sure if they were minted, but they're looking good. These kind of shapes in the sky, these forms in the sky. So just a quick look there. An artist I'd never seen before, Said Inc., digital creator, NFT artist. Kind of has a bit of the Mo Wellington meets Mr. Shapeless almost. These clouds are super interesting because they're quite suggestive. I think Dali would love these clouds. These clouds are really interesting. So, the whole thing is interesting. The next, so anyways, the head coming out of the head. Again, really AI artwork, stuff that would only come out of AI, especially when you put it all together. Look at the eyes, are very interesting. Looks like raw AI, doesn't it? This is part of Tez Girls, which I'm not sure if it's an event or just a group. This is Marina Amadova with a very nice AI artwork. I believe it's AI. It sure has that feeling, right? It's kind of got, as I like to say, like the AI has certain biases towards the outcomes. It's biased towards certain outcomes. And I think we see that. And that's why some of the AI artists kind of have certain similarities here. Like it's got almost a bit of a Mr. Shapeless kind of look to it here. Co-created with AI and post-processing, 2048 by 2048. So anyways, very interesting. Let's see how it's sold. Editions of 10, and they are not for sale yet. Good-looking piece. And here's some of her other work. Again, this is pretty nice too. Look at these colors. The power of the gaze. Yeah, so pretty nice, good-looking AI art, if you ask me. Playing a lot with these two figures, these twin figures. Very interesting. So another AI artist on the radar for us. Continuing on, here's another one, Beyonder. So look at, so this is AI. I'm not even sure what to make of this kind of black background. It's just kind of, who knows what the prompts are. 5 fingers here, So again, it looks like raw AI, which is pretty stunning. If this is what that is, I don't know how you get these little waves and everything. If you're uploading a source image, again, I think it makes sense for a lot of us to spend a little bit more time with AI. Those of us who've only dabbled Beyonder. So here's some of his other work. So interesting, right? And selling very cheap, but this sold for 0.1. I think there's nothing wrong. It's better to move your work. I think as Picasso said, you got to move your work. Or as Steve Jobs said, you got to ship. At a certain point, you got to end your project and just put it out there. You got to ship. Also part of the Tez Girls event, this is Moonchild. So Moonchild has been more, I think, on Foundation and now super rare, but it's cool. Again, multi-chain. Moonchild put out a work for Tez Girls. Again, this really interesting combination of abstraction and these faces. It's instantly recognizable as a Moonchild work, and I think that's kind of the key. That's what you want as an artist in general, that people know that is a Pocobelli, that is a Moonchild, and I think in AI in particular, it's important to have that kind of unified look. So, and here's some of just the other Tez Girls. So check it out. There's a ton of work here. I just kind of cherry-picked a couple of works here. And finally, a couple of works by Soom, Sit and Explore. So here are kind of someone at the computer here. And again, AI artwork. Pretty sure this is raw AI, but not positive. Sometimes she'll use a few different programs. Also Soom, The Dark Knight. So a bit of a different look and feel on this one. Hey, almost a darker kind of, almost who is this figure, the black cat. So interesting work from Soom, now for 20. And so this sold out right away too. Sold out within like 20 minutes, 30 minutes for 5 or 3 and then 5. Yeah, so anyways, very cool. A couple of physical works before we go. This is by Walk, who did this goldfish in a bag. Poetic. isn't it? Another just interesting work by Walk. And it's nice because Walk works a lot with spray paint, so it's nice to see him draw too. Again, just shows some range and just depth when you start doing stuff like that. Very interesting artist here. This is Helen Beard Art. So this is physical work too that I saw on Instagram. Kind of erotic, obviously, but really riding that erotic abstraction kind of combination here. Like maybe you know what that is. It's so interesting, right? Like it's so abstracted that it starts to be like, I feel okay putting it on this program. Let's say, although it's quite erotic, what you're seeing going on there, there's the artist, and look at how good these prints look. So Helen Beard, I've never heard of her, but again, these prints look stunning. So, part of what makes prints look stunning, and it sounds ridiculous, is this big white margin. When you put stuff with that nice white margin, it looks great, and you put a little bit of pencil for the edition number. Anyway, cool work. Thank you once again for joining me, and thanks again to everybody who came out to the spaces yesterday. Lots of excitement coming out over there. Until next time, take care.